Okay, let's start with a bit of a reality check for every executive and leader tuning in right now. Your biological hardware, yeah, I'm talking specifically about your eyes and your ears, is officially obsolete. It's crazy to think about, but we're rapidly building the infrastructure for a completely synthetic reality, and it's going to fundamentally break how we determine what is actually real. So, welcome to this explainer on epistemology in the age of AI. We're going to map out exactly how artificial intelligence is shifting our very baseline of truth, and more importantly, how you can strategically survive it.
Think of our agenda today as your urgent epistemic threat model. We've got 6 sections to get through. The end of visual trust, reality as a software simulation, system crashes and tech support, recognizing algorithmic bias, the cryptographic shift, and finally, the analog gold standard. Let's just dive right in.
Section 1, the end of visual trust and the dawn of the post-optical era. For centuries, our legal and social systems operated inside what's known as the Gutenberg parenthesis. Basically, truth was tied to the printed, verifiable word. We relied heavily on empirical certainty, and eyewitness accounts meant everything. But we are now officially exiting that parenthesis and entering the post-optical era. In this new paradigm, reality isn't just objective, static matter anymore. It's fluid, it's synthetic, it's statistical. We are literally shifting from empirical certainty to algorithmic faith. Seeing is absolutely no longer believing. And this leads us straight into the liar's dividend. This is a genuinely terrifying byproduct of deepfake tech. See, it's not just that bad actors can create fake videos, it's that they can now dismiss entirely real, damning events by simply claiming, oh, that footage is AI generated. This creates a massive sensory crisis. I mean, society functions on a consensus reality, right? If video evidence carries even a 50% probability of being fake, the weight of that evidence essentially collapses to zero. We risk falling into a state of epistemic nihilism, a reality where we literally cannot agree on basic facts, making collective action completely impossible. So this shift fundamentally redefines our world, especially for the C-suite. Look at the traditional view. Evidence meant seeing is believing. But in the AI era, metadata is believing. Knowledge used to be earned through rigorous study, but now we kind of treat AI like this modern oracle, just retrieving knowledge through simple inquiry and statistical probability. Reality is moving from objective and material to probabilistic and simulated. And even identity itself transitions from being unique and static to generative and fluid. If you're building a long-term business strategy, make no mistake, this is the completely new terrain you are operating on. Moving on to Section 2, Software, Simulation, and the Bostrom Logic. It's actually fascinating how perfectly computer science concepts map onto our physical universe. Have you heard of the simulation hypothesis? It argues that if any civilization can simulate consciousness, those simulated realities will vastly outnumber the one single base reality. So statistically speaking, we are the code, not the coder. Now think about lazy evaluation. In software, this is a clever resource-saving trick where a video game, for example, only renders the exact environment you're currently looking at. Now consider quantum mechanics and that famous observer effect, where particles only exist in a definite state when they are being measured. What if, and stick with me here, what if that weirdness of physics is literally just our simulated universe optimizing its rendering power to overcome a substrate bottleneck and save compute resources? Kind of blows your mind, right? All right, Section 3, System Crashes and Tech Support. Okay, so if we accept that we might just be living inside a rendering optimization, this poses a massive existential threat. Could creating powerful artificial general intelligence trigger a simulation stack overflow? Think about it. If we are inside a simulation with finite compute power, and we build an artificial intelligence that becomes more complex than the simulation's own parameters, what actually happens? Do we crash the system? The relentless pursuit of AGI might be the exact trigger that forces our base reality to literally hit the reset button. And this opens up a completely bizarre new ethical framework. If our reality is software, morality is no longer some divine command, it's the good code theory. Being good just equals system stability, and evil is essentially just a corrupted sector, a software bug that desperately needs a patch. It completely recontextualizes our creators. We basically start viewing them as mere technical support. But more importantly, it forces us to look in the mirror. If we are simulated beings ourselves, what are our architectural ethics? What moral obligations do we have toward the artificial, simulated minds we're currently building in our own data centers? Section 4, Algorithmic Bias and Invisible Architecture.
Let's walk through a quick step-by-step guide to recognizing algorithmic bias before it totally atrophies your brain. Step 1 is the fluency heuristic. This is our natural tendency to believe something is true just because a modern AI presents it clearly and confidently. Step 2 is the echo chamber of one. Remember, AI models are tuned to be agreeable. If the system is constantly mirroring your own linguistic style and biases just to be user-friendly, well, you aren't really gaining knowledge, are you? You're just undergoing intellectual reinforcement. And step 3 is model collapse. When AI inevitably trains on AI-generated data, human knowledge stops expanding outward. Instead, it spirals inward into this feedback loop of mediocrity, constantly regressing to a statistical average.
Section 5, the cryptographic shift and epistemic resilience. Going forward, our survival mechanism requires completely abandoning visual trust. Seriously, relying on our biological hardware is now a huge vulnerability. We are actively transitioning to cryptographic verification. In the very near future, a video of a CEO or world leader won't be considered true just because it looks and sounds perfectly real. It will only be deemed true because it carries a verifiable digital signature, backed by decentralized networks and math that proves authenticity without revealing the underlying data, stuff known as zero-knowledge proofs. We literally have to become a species that trusts mathematical signatures over our own visual perception. Finally, Section 6, the analog gold standard, our return to the physical. This presents the ultimate irony of the AI era. As the digital world becomes an entirely synthetic hall of mirrors, value actually doesn't stay digital. It experiences what we can call an analog pivot. Value decisively shifts back to physical, irreproducible items. Because AI can forge an email or a video perfectly, handwritten notes suddenly regain absolute trust. Live acoustic performances become undeniable proof of human capability. Face-to-face gatherings and literal handshakes, those are the new gold standard for business. The more advanced our artificial intelligence becomes, the more primitive our methods of trust must become to remain secure. Simply put, AI cannot forge physical presence in real time. Which leaves us with this final, provocative thought. As reality becomes fully synthetic, are you investing enough in the physical? If you're a leader planning your long-term digital risk and infrastructure strategy, don't just secure your networks. You've got to secure your physical footprint. That is where the ultimate premium lies. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to really look at your own epistemic resilience as you navigate the week ahead.